G'day YouTube, it's Marty from Music Video Master. If you want to figure out how to turn your Blu-ray audio into lossless FLAC audio, then you've come to the right place. Okay, some eBay shopping. Orbital optical delusion Blu-ray. Holy sh! Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's probably worth it. I should just buy it with that money that I saved up. But then again, I want to be able to listen to it on my portable music player too. So recently I bought this FLAC portable music player from Temu. It was really cheap. It was like 50 Australian dollars and it actually works really well. Now if you have CDs, it's pretty easy to convert the CD to MP3. And it's even pretty simple to convert CD to FLAC with free programs such as XLD. But what about Blu-ray audio? Is there an easy and free way to rip Blu-ray audio to FLAC so that I can play it on my little portable player? Actually, there is a way that you can do it for free, and I'm going to show you right now. Okay, now before we get started, we need to talk hardware. On this video, I'm going to demonstrate the first half with my Mac computer and the second half with a Windows laptop. I'm also going to assume that you have a Blu-ray disc drive. Me personally, I use this one. This is an LG external Blu-ray drive. Before we switch over to the screen recording, I'm also going to assume that you have installed the software that you need. For the first part, you're going to need MakeMKV, Handbrake, and VLC Player. These three programs are available on both Mac and Windows for free. For the second part of this process, you're going to need two programs only available for free on Windows, and they are Album Art Downloader and MP3 Tag. Alright, let's go over to the computer now and I'll show you what to do. So the very first thing that you need to do is to put your Blu-ray into the Blu-ray reader, and on my computer, that's it there. For some reason it's invisible, but there it is. And we're going to open up MakeMKV first of all. So open the program. MakeMKV is now reading the disk in my drive, and you can see it identifies that there's something in there. So go ahead and click on the disk drive icon. The computer's going to spend a few seconds here reading the contents of the disk. This might take a little while depending on how much data is on the disk. Okay, so MakeMKV has read the contents of the disk. So that reminds me of one thing I should mention. MakeMKV is free and it works for all DVDs, whether they're encrypted or not. And it will work for Blu-rays as long as you have the beta key. So if you put in a Blu-ray disc and MakeMKV is not able to read it or to take you to the next step, then you need to Google search the latest MakeMKV beta key, and then you'll need to copy that beta key and paste it into where you register the product. Now on my Mac here, we have File, View and Help, and for my Mac, it's in the Help menu. You'll go down to Register, and that's where you would paste in the most up-to-date version of the beta key. But I've already done that, so I don't need to do it again. Now on the left here, you can see these are all the contents of the disk. And you just glancing at the size of them, you can tell that most of the content is in these two files here. 14 chapters, meaning 14 songs or tracks. You can see that this one here, 654.8 megabytes, is not really anything, so I don't need that one. I'm confident that it's not the music that I'm after. It's probably just some introduction. So I'm going to untick that and that, plus all of these. I don't need to import them. And I'm also going to go ahead and uncheck this one because I'm pretty sure that that's unnecessary. And at the end, after it's converted this to an MKV, if it's wrong, you can always go back, retrace your steps, and try again on a different track. But I'm pretty sure this is going to be fine. So now I go and select where I want to put this, and I'll say I'll just put it on my desktop for now. And when everything's looking good here, I'm just going to go ahead and click the button that says MakeMKV. And this could take a little while, so feel free to go off and make yourself a cup of coffee and come back in a little bit. Okay, so that took quite a while, I'm not going to lie, so please be patient. But now you can see that I have an MKV file of the album that I put in, and I'm just going to test it now and make sure that it works and everything's fine. So this is where we use VLC player, and it's working. Sounds pretty good. Okay, so now we have one continuous MKV file of the Blu-ray data from the disc. It's got both video and audio. The next thing we're going to do is to chop it up into its individual tracks. So to do this, we're going to need Handbrake. So we're going to go ahead and open the source, and on my desktop here. Okay, so here is the file loaded in Handbrake and ready to go. First, click on Summary here and make sure that we're going to keep it as the MKV format. Then along the top here you can choose the audio settings, and we're just going to make sure that it remains as stereo. I'll just choose the first stereo track there. The codec, let's do FLAC and 24-bit. We'll keep this one as stereo. The sample rate, it really doesn't matter because we have to resample this later anyway in Audacity, but 32 is the correct sample rate. Anything higher than that and my portable music player won't be able to play the file. And now we're ready to go. Up here we have to choose the range. You can see that the file is 14 chapters long, and starting at chapter 1, and also, whoops, there we go. Selecting chapter 1 means we're isolating only chapter 1, which means song 1. So down the bottom here, we need to give the file a name, and I'm just going to call it Orbital Ringa Ringa, because that's the name of the song. And it does always help to put a number at the front to tell you what track it is, starting with a 0 if it's single digits. That's going to be an MKV file, and I'm just going to pop it on the desktop here, or you could choose a different location. We're ready to go. So now I press start, and Handbrake is going to make a little MKV file just of track number 1. Alright, Handbrake has successfully isolated track 1 and made an individual MKV file for it. Here it is. We have to repeat this process for every single song on the album. So let's go back to Handbrake. Now I don't need to change the source, it's still the same source. But now, where it has the chapters here, we're just going to go chapter 2 to chapter 2. Of course, change the title here of the song. And the title of track 2 is Day 1. Track 2. And everything else looks good, so hit it. Alright, so it took about 2 minutes per song for MakeMKV to create a single MKV file for each of these songs on the album.
Okay, now we have individual MKV files, including lossless audio for each of the individual songs from the album. The next step is to convert those to FLAC format, and we can do that for free using VLC Player. So open VLC, go File, and Convert Stream. So this is the function that we want from VLC Player. It will work for short files like these ones, but if you try and put a very long or a very large file in there, it doesn't work. So let's start with track 1. Just drag it into here. Now we just have to select FLAC and go into Customize, go into the audio codec section and the bit rate. Well, we really don't need the bitrate that high. 24 is kind of standard, that should be fine. It doesn't affect the audio quality. We have 2 channels here, meaning stereo, and the sample rate, at the moment it's 44,000, but we want 320 because anything over 320,000 won't be able to play on my music player. I'm not sure about your music player and its specifications, but for mine it needs to be 32,000, but there's no 32,000 option here in VLC, unfortunately. The next one down is 22,000. Now this is probably okay as it is, but I'm a little bit kind of picky about this, so I'm going to stick with 44,000 for now, and then I'll change it in Audacity later. So apply that. And now we just need to choose where to save it. We're going to save the file and choose a location. I've already made a folder on my desktop here called Music Rips, so I'm just going to put it in there. And unfortunately, VLC doesn't recognize the original name that I gave the file, so we're going to have to put that in again. Number 1, orbital, ringer, ringer. And also at this time, I'm going to manually put in the file extension .flac, because if you don't, the program doesn't put it on there automatically, so you'll have to go back and put it in afterwards. You might as well put it in now. Save and save. Just, we can ignore that. Now if I go into my Music Rips folder, there it is. And it's a FLAC file. And we'll just double check that it works by dragging it into VLC Player. Good, we have the FLAC file of the song. Now there is one last step that we will need to do. My player is not going to recognize this, so the next thing is to open up Audacity, and we're just going to, can skip all this stuff. We're just going to drag the file into Audacity to create a project, and we're just going to leave everything exactly as it is, and we're going to re-export it. So file, export audio, and I'm going to export it to the computer. The only thing that I'm going to change here is the sample rate to make it 32,000 hertz, and choose where you're going to put it. I'm going to put it back in the same folder where it came from. So the computer will prompt you, do you want to replace the original one? I say yes, and confirm that, yes. I can close this now and I don't need to save it. Here we have a 21 megabyte FLAC audio file of track 1 of the Blu-ray audio. So this is the process that you're going to follow for all of the other songs now. Okay, so now I have all of the songs in FLAC format in my folder on my computer, and if we just go and have a look at the properties of the file, bring that over here, so you can see that the sample rate is 32,000 hertz, and that's what we want. Now I can go ahead and plug in my portable music player and transfer the files across. Alright, so I've finished copying all those files across. I can close that window now. These files. These songs are all in my music player. I'm pretty confident that I don't need any of these MKV files anymore, so I'm just going to trash them now. Now we actually have lossless audio FLAC files for each of the songs on the Blu-ray disc. Now the next step is to tag each of those lossless audio FLAC files with some metadata so that they can be played by the portable music player and so that we can see the album artwork as we're playing the files. Alright, now I'm on my Windows computer, and there are a couple of extra free programs that we're going to need to have installed. The first one being Album Art Downloader. So this program is going to help us find a good quality picture for the album art. So I'm going to assume that you have already found and installed this program, and we can just do a search for the artist and the album. In this case, the artist is Orbital. The album is Optical Delusion. We'll just search that one. And you get multiple hits or results. The best one, if you just hover over, you can see the source of the picture. But my favorite is fanart.tv. Here we go, that's the fanart.tv one. It's always 1000 by 1000 pixels. So I just save this one as, I just call it Orbital. I'll just put it on the desktop and save it. I want to make sure that it's a JPEG because my portable music player will only recognize JPEG image files, and yes, it's a JPEG, so that's good. We can just leave that as it is. And the next program that we're going to need is called MP3 Tag. It's also free. It's easy to find, it's easy to install, so I'm going to assume that you already have done that. Open MP3 Tag, and this is just the previous project that I had in. So just, I just selected all of that and deleted it. So in order to tag my FLAC files, I'm just going to move this out of the way a little bit here. There we go. So open up the location of the album. As it's plugged in here, you can see, plugged in via USB. There's Orbital. There's the album, and all the files are in here. So I'm just going to go ahead and select all of those. I'm just going to drag them straight into MP3 Tag. Select all of them, and we can update some things for all of these tracks. So one thing that's going to be the same for all these tracks is the artist, Orbital, and the album, Optical Delusion. I like to put the year that the album was released, which was 2022, and we can just drag in that image from before for the cover art and save. It's just going to take a minute or so here. Okay, so that has been done. Now all of the songs have some common metadata here, the artist name and the album name and the cover art. So now, unfortunately, I'm going to have to type in the names of each track individually again, but make sure that only individual tracks are selected this time. And in the title, I'm just going to have to type this out all again. Orbital, Ringer Ringer, in parentheses, the old pandemic folk song. Save it. And I'm just going to have to go through and do all of these one by one. After that, it will be ready to go because MP3 Tag is saving all these tags directly onto the files that are already in my music player. So once I'm finished working through all of these, it's going to be ready to play. There we go. There's optical delusion there. And there are all the songs. It works. Hooray! Okay guys, well that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something useful from the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe and leave a comment below. What kind of tech would you like to see in my future videos? If you get stuck along the way, please leave a comment and I'll surely do my very best to get back to you and try and help you through it. However, I do hope that this video is self-explanatory and that you are able to successfully convert your Blu-ray audio to FLAC. Okay, that's it guys. See you in the next video.